before we do that, Alan has a sort of general right of reply that might take a bit of time, just to any of the things that have been said.
I don't think anything really needs a rebuttal. Even some of Francesca's remarks can be terribly pig-headed, but it's it has its positive side, I suppose, in the form of persistence. So I just, I'm really bowled over by the fact that there was an event such as this. I can't think of any other events I've been to like this that celebrate the career of someone in which they actually engage so closely and in so many different ways with that person's work. So I have Nick to thank for all of this. He was the one that offered to do this. And I think we all have Kodal to thank, because it's not the kind of thing, you can't just bring somebody from around the world on your departmental slush fund. So it is a kind of opportunity that's created by this fantastic center that we have here. When I first was coming to Australia, having before I even finished my PhD, I was fortunate enough to line up a job, be offered a lectureship at the University of Sydney. And back in, this was 1977, I then quickly finished my thesis. As I was about to leave, my teacher of Homeric Greek, that was co-taught course between Paul Friedrich and a guy called Jamie Redfield, his father was actually an anthropologist, but Jamie was much more of a philologist himself, and he said, well, you're going to Australia, well, you're not going to find a Homer there. But in fact, there was an irony there, because what I later found in the New Guinea Highlands was a metrical narrative genre, which had, as it happened, some variants of it had a 6-beat line, hexameter line. So it was kind of eerie refutation of Jamie Redfield. Of course, it wasn't at the complexity of the plot and the scale that was not the same as Homer, but it had another great, my study there had a great advantage that any no Homeric study has. That is, we know that the Homeric epics had a melody to them. They were musical, but we have no idea what it was and how it interacted with the prosody, with the metrics. Here was a chance to study something, a musical genre of that kind, live, and study the melody in great detail. That's just an example, I think, of one of the reasons why I've never felt that I was making a mistake in coming to Australia and staying here for the rest of my scholarly career. I've only ever taught in Australia, and it's been enormously fulfilling, partly because of the sheer range of societies, material, cultures, everything that's out there within the short distance of Australia, in Australia and across to New Guinea and so forth. But also because I have found, as I was saying earlier, I found the intellectual milieu here very conducive to the sort of wide-ranging interdisciplinary work and collaborative work that I like to do. Partly, I suppose, it allows that in a way that the U.S. system doesn't, because once you get in a tenure-track job, tenure is fairly, I always call it the warm body test. You stay around long enough and stay around for a couple of years, don't seriously get in trouble, and your body is still warm, you get tenure. In the U.S., people are locked into this kind of regime that doesn't really allow you to explore things outside your own immediate area the way that I could. So I'm terribly honored and thrilled by all of these different aspects of my work, which, as I said to Tony, I didn't really think of in the same way myself. He's found more coherence there than I really understood until I read his abstract. And then I kept saying, yeah, that's right, I did write some more about that kind of thing, and send him more and more publications to pile up. So we've gone from one of my most long-term colleagues, Ian Keane, to on the other end of it, to Lauren, who just finished her MA. I must brag on her and say that this MA was marked by two of the leading science specialists, one from the US and one from MPI Nijmegen, and she got a 95% on it. So So I think she has a very good chance of getting a scholarship. And I'm even more pleased that she intends to stay on at ANU, assuming that she gets a scholarship and do the work here. So it's an example of the kind of thing that I see before me. Yeah, so that's the kind of thing that I see before me as a continuing source of excitement and inspiration and of hard work that I intend to put into my retirement, free of administrative duties altogether, free of coursework teaching. I've actually taught every semester for the last 3 years, even though I'm officially only a half-time. But now I'm 0 time, so I only teach what I choose to out of pure enjoyment. And there is a course like that coming up next year. So that's all. I suppose last of all I should thank Francesca for giving by far the most honest talk, the real warts and all stuff. But besides that, the rest of you for your enormous work that you put into these presentations, energy you put in, and the way that they have made me understand my own work a bit better and appreciate all the more the work environment that I've been able to work in for all of my academic career in Australia.
I'm sure the syntacticians here all noted the ambiguity of one of Alan's sentences. That's the kind of that's the kind of excitement and inspiration that I see for myself.
Well, continuing in the future for my
yeah. But yeah, that was exactly what you said. So I think there's the scope of the external excitement and inspiration, and there's the scope where you continue to be the excitement and inspiration. And I think that's also there, and we're very grateful that, in a way, as we've seen with a number of other emeriti in this room, that this is sort of the beginning of liberation. And for those of us who've admired your prodigious energy and breadth until now, it's going to be sort of on steroids from tomorrow or something. This isn't quite the end of the day, because we've got a little sort of musical and other interlude. Don't go away yet. We're going to have 3 steps to that, and then I'm just going to do a final little thing, and then we will adjourn to Fellows Bar for a well-earned drink or two, and then a reminder that dinner at the Copper Chimney for those who wish to come at 7 o'clock. So that's in West Row. So I'll just try and do a cardinal point there. Follow it exactly. Or Google Copper Chimney, West Row, and you'll get there. We're not going to try and herd the exact number of people there and coordinate, because it's too complicated. Just be there at 7. But now over to Daria, who's going to be first off.
It's not exactly over yet.
Yes.
And from conclusions, we'll continue.
grab my computer.
Yes. Alan, so many people would like to be here today to help you celebrate your scholarship and acknowledge your wonderful, selfless help you've given to so many of us over all these years. But because they can't all be here, I'm deeply honored to be representing many of your students, former and current ones, in the following hamamas. I would like to say just a couple of words about Ellen as a supervisor. You guided many of us to become either linguists or anthropologists or something in between. You inspired us with your enthusiasm. You gently pushed us to keep going when it was tough. And I could say much more, but you will see it in the card where we compiled your students' thoughts. There is just one more thing I'd like to point out. Up to this day, I still haven't figured out how Ellen managed to always, just really always answer our emails and send comments to our chapters with the speed of light. I would, for example, go to sleep at 5 o'clock, send a chapter off, fall down, and by the time I woke up, which would be 8 or 9 already, I would get his comments. And I chuckled when I read a tribute by Bill McGregor, who was one of Alan's first, if not the first student, who actually said just the same. I'll go on with a little tribute by Don Niles, who deeply regrets that he cannot be here today. A lot about Alan today, but there's one more thing to mention. Alan is not just an outstanding scholar, fantastic supervisor, wonderful colleague, and an accomplished musician. He's also deeply concerned about the well-being of all people. And to reflect his charitable spirit, we did not buy him a golden watch for this occasion, although you would deserve 10 of them, Alan, but made a donation to Family PNG, which is a charity organization which takes care of the victims of domestic violence in Papua New Guinea. We checked it out and it seemed that this was the right place to go for. And their message to you is in the card that we made for you. And now I really have to move out away from this speaker, but I'll try to speak loud. And something from you, Adam. This line picks up from Mary Hagen.
Yes.
And Mary Hagen, you can detach the picture and the card still remains. You can go through it later at home.
Okay.
But that's not all. Wait a little bit. Because you didn't only work in Papua New Guinea, you also worked in Australia. So there's another thing coming from Thomas Saunders.
Wow.
And
Okay.
this will represent the Australian side.
Okay.
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
I'm going to start with a lecture, and then if I'm feeling a bit confident, I'll move away. Pani sani pa ma ma, pani sani pa ga re re, pani sani pa ga ma ma, pa ma ga ga ma ga re re re, pani sani pa ga ma ma ma, ma ga re sani pa ga re re re, pani sani pa ga ma ma, pa ma ga ga ma ga re re. Prof said that indirect English speech makes dialectic shifts, while in nodding in ways of speaking they quote more directly, or so it seems. The prof said that indirect English speech makes dialectic shifts, while in nodding in ways of speaking they quote more directly, or so it seems. Words and things, talk and action. Words and things, talk and action. And me like piney mouth us belong talk. And me like lining mong meaning belong accent. Maski or bite, and bison up strong. Kissing think belong all. Na pining rot belong sikan. And me like piney mouth us belong talk. And me like lining long meaning belong accent. Maski or bite, and bison up strong. Kissing think belong all. Na pining rot belong sikan. Words and things, talk and action. words and things, talk and action. In language is embedded our ethical thinking and doing. And language is embedded in social cognition. We grow in intention, whoa, with goal direction. And triadic interaction. Oh, words and things, talk and action. All the good that you do, all the kindness you show, while, I'll take that again. All the good that you do, all the kindness you show. And I'll take that one more time. All the good that you do, all the kindness you show, while blazing the trail of paradise. All the good that you do, all the kindness you show, keeps the circle unbroken by and by. All the good that you do and the kindness you show, transforming structural all divides, turns talk to action. Giddy up, giddy up, you can clap to this if you want. Come on! Words and things, talk and action. You'll do some language valued in who are you can get copies of rhetorical ability. You'll do some language valued in who are you can get copies of rhetorical ability. Verbal mobility, musical equality, cognitive, technology, song, plasticity, transition, complexity, intersubjectivity, geniality. Words and things, talk and action. Words and things, talk and action. Amy like pining out us, belong talk, keep clapping. Amy like lining, long meaning, belong accent, not the or bite. Kissing, belong all, not pining, rock, belong sikan. Amy like pining out us, belong talk. Amy like lining, long meaning, belong accent, must be or bite. Strong, kissing, belong all, not pining, rock, belong sikan. Words and things, talk and action. Your turn. Words and things, talk and action. Words and things, talk and action. Words and things, talk and action.
Thank you, Mahesh. I don't know if you had access to Francesca's quote about the Kuaru grammar and the solenoids, but very appropriate.
Thank you.
And now we have another song from Jane Ferguson.
Someone here is gonna be retired. If you didn't know by now, he's still going, he's not tired. But Will must get by somehow. When you're studying the dreaming and human ideals, exploration in the dialectic field, you're the one who makes it all real. Hey, Alan Rumsey, you're in key and G. We must stop and reflect for a while. How about your kindness, your help, and your style? You're somebody that makes us all smile. Hey, Alan Rumsey. Hey, Alan Rumsey. Everyone! Hey, Alan Rumsey. Okay, one more time. Hey, Alan
I hope we get a chance to sing these songs and rehearse and sing a bit more. They're not far from here, soon after this, and there's just one last thing to do. We've talked a lot about Alan as a colleague within anthropology and Codal and CHL and RSPAS, but he has also been one of the driving forces behind Codal, whom Alan thanked during his talk. Right from the beginning, when we were writing the proposal that ended up bringing in that lucky boat, Alan was involved. There's many ways I want to thank him for that. One is just for the inspiration that he brought, the love of writing and the ability to get things together. I got very sick like a day before it was due in, and Alan stepped into the breach and took over and made sure it got over the line. And ever since then, he's been a really key part of what we do. He's the one anthropologist in Codal, so it's fallen on his shoulders to give it the cultural breadth that we aspire to for it. So just to thank you from that angle, here's a little something, both for you and Francesca, reflecting your love of music.
Thank you.
Thanks. And thanks on behalf of all the So that concludes the day's proceedings. Thanks to you all for coming, all the speakers for their magnificent presentations, and we now will adjourn for a glass or two, and then on to dinner, and especially thanks to Alan for all you've given all of us in different ways, and we'll continue to in an even more energised form, I imagine. So, thank you.
Pani sani paga mama, pani sani paga re re re, pani sani paga mama, pama ga ga ma ga re re.